Welcome back, everyone. This is part 2 of the unique section of the RB5 showcase. Thank you for listening. Let's go ahead and move into our next one. This character, I'm sad, has yet to get a rework because she is always in the movies, it feels like. And it's one of Lute's favorite characters. It's Harley Quinn, Quite Vexing. Not Mad Jester, we're talking about Quite Vexing. She has not been updated since her initial debut, and she has got one of the rockinest bods from the original Suicide Squad movie that came out. Her costume has yet to change. And our player is Zen, hashtag, from Justice League International, or Zen Pound, whatever you want to call it. What are your thoughts on Harley Quinn Quite Vexing, and do you think that RB5 is active on her, or is she just more of a call assist character?
No, I have to point out
her move hits hard.
Which one?
The one where she whips out a gun and shoots you in the face. That one hurts.
I think it does true damage too, actually.
13% true damage.
Yeah.
Yeah, that 13% shows you how old she is. So it's such a weird number.
I'm surprised there's no like 12.5% chance of anything on any of these kids. By the way, Tootie, I got to point out your RB5 document, you completely screwed it up. Harley should have been like 3 spots higher than she is. We're out of order. Got to start over from the beginning.
Ugh.
Yeah,
I think you're right too, because I was scrolling through the art and I was like, wait, where's the art for this one? And I had to scroll up, and I was like, oh crap, we're out of order.
It's because you alphabetized it by HQQV, which is not a word, but that's okay.
It's your acronym. I'm sorry. Anyway.
I was watching the Suicide Squad movie, like the first one, the other day when I was like watching it like a couple days before the second one came out, and there is just a moment in the movie where she literally says, she's like, "I'm quite vexing," and I was like, "Oh, that's where they did it." She said it. It was fun. But yeah, no, her 3 with the 150% crit damage and then the 13% true damage, like that thing, that slaps. And then, you know, the rest of it, which is like all crit ups and then call assists and stuff, she's got a really, really good kit. And I think that's why people still use her for raids here and there. Not as much anymore in sort of the age of Superwoman, but in general, yeah, like they still use her in raids sometimes because she's got such a good skill for it. So yeah, I think she's a great tune, and I think RB5 is a great move for her because I think the older a character is, the better off they do when they are Rebirth 5, just because they're so power crept.
That's fair. Yeah, that's a good call. A lot of people have actually been asking me why I haven't brought her up further, just because of the silence on her basic and her high damage power, and I always find it difficult to argue with them about why I have not, because I normally just make the excuse of, well, her kit's outdated, or it's not, it doesn't work well with me, and it absolutely does. You're correct.
She's super farmable in red alerts, and she's just a lot of fun to use. I held off on bringing her up for a long time, and then as soon as I did, I was like, wow, I've been missing a lot. This is a fun kit. She's another one that works really well with Emerald Archer Green Arrow.
For real. Hawkeye, you got anything?
Not really. I mean, it's, you know, I think the only time she really sees a lot of play is raids. But she does have a pretty fun kit. You know, she's got affinity resist downs, which you don't really see a whole lot of those anymore. I think that ever since the dev teams kind of changed hands from the original devs, they've kind of left the resistance and affinity hit chance up, I think it is, or hit power up. They've those have kind of been forgotten and not really incorporated too often anymore.
Yeah, that's fair. And she kind of came out with the Jared Leto Joker version, and a lot of people shit on that character. They shit on both of these characters. It's just like outdated and awful, and I actually think they both of them have fairly decent, well-rounded kits. The only thing I don't like about the Joker version is his roulette gun ability. I think that one's stupid as hell, but Harley Quinn is super usable, super viable still, just old and hard to find outside of red alerts. But let's move into another one of mine, the one that I was kind of talking about earlier. Hush himself. This one I think surprised a lot of people as far as why I would bring him RB5. And he was released kind of I think it was the month or two after Ra's al Ghul got reworked, and I was looking for a silence character that would just kind of pair really well, and Hush uses silence as kind of like a target on your back. Like as soon as someone applies the silence to you, Hush will out of turn attack on you and reapply it potentially. And I think there's a lot of good utility in his kit. A lot of people compared him to Arcus when he got released. I know that he wasn't as he was a little underwhelming to some people because of that comparison. However, I think RB5 definitely shored up a lot of those weaknesses that people are seeing. Like he does hit very hard for me. He has plenty of sustain with all the mends that he gets, and when he goes invisible and gets awarenesses, he can easily stay alive really well. And with all of his out of turn attacks, he stacks up those mends so quickly. He's almost always at 200% HP for me, almost always.
I think his biggest flaw is just the fact that he was released the same month as Azrael. He's a fun character to play around with. He does have a pretty solid kit. Some of my biggest experience with him is just watching some of your months when they did the 1 versus 4 challenge on WRL. And you had some pretty impressive videos with Hush. I actually was going to slow gear him until I saw that, and then I said, "All right, I think I'm going to go and gear him up." And whenever I use him, I'm always constantly surprised by how useful he is.
I'm glad that someone thinks so, because many of the owls always give shit for this one. Zubaz, what do you think?
What I would say here is last year I did the RB5 showcase of the Mystical Affinity tunes with Tootie, and I didn't have a lot of experience doing sort of any podcast or streaming or anything at the time. I didn't really know everybody in the community as well. And so I was really, really nice to Tootie the entire time. I was just like, hey, here's this great guy. He's having me on his show. Let me be really nice to him. And I think we're well beyond that now. So I'm comfortable saying that Hush sucks. And I would still question why you did this. But no, listen, when people love a character, they're allowed to rebirth a character, no matter what flaws or defects they might have. And so sure, if you want to rebirth Hush, then that's great. My response would just sort of be like, yeah, Hush. Okay.
Come on, the real reason that Tootie rebirthed Hush all the way up is so he could have that basic skin back with the abs showing.
Oh yeah,
which is fair. I mean, that's but if you want that, just pay 1,000 gems, not like 400,000 gems.
Ask Tootie about why is Captain Adams rebirthed.
I couldn't deal with the stupid flaming head anymore. I had to switch him back to his classic skin.
I think that's why he rebirthed Indigo too.
Well, no. Indigo was going to be my answer to the slope of my Ra's al Ghul team. Like, she was going to be able to give them the turn meter and call them to assist randomly, and it was going to work out really well. But she didn't really work out. And Captain Atom was a disease character that worked well with Ra's al Ghul as well. So I love that combo. But at the same time, the primary reason for rebirthing Captain Atom was the costume change. It was his legendary is atrocious. I'm sorry. But along the lines of Hush, I actually don't have a great love for the character. I know his story, but it didn't vibe with me too much. I think I rebirthed him due to my love for Ra's al Ghul and needing some sort of red support damage with Ra's, and the two do work very well together. So I do love the synergy between them, and whatchamacallit, I do not regret rebirthing Hush at all. His RB5 shores up all of his weaknesses, and I love that. So no regrets here. But let's move into a character that I'm jealous of. He recently got a sale, I think last month, and that's when Hate Mail decided to bring Impulse all the way up to RB5. Impulse is my favorite speedster just because I love his quirky attitude. I love his personality in general. And I think he's got one of the cooler backstories out of all of them, which I know definitely runs against most people's thoughts on Impulse, but in game he is incredibly useful. I use him all the time. People like accuse me of using meta characters because I use him, and I only use him because I don't want to use Black Flash, and I think that he is the lesser of the two evils. But I do love that he's also a hit chance down character, which I have a lot of Scarecrow and Batman Beyond shards as well, and I've always in the back of my head wanted to bring that whole team to RB5 as well. So what do you guys think about Impulse? Do you think he's meta? Do you think he's just like outside the meta?
He's meta adjacent. I don't think he's truly meta. But when you got the highest speed in the game, you're going to be meta to some extent. Highest base speed anyway. I don't know that I would consider him really needing to go RB5. But that might more so just be my play style with him. When I bring him, my intention is to kind of use him as a one-trick pony, just to steal all the turn, or to turn meter down everybody from the get-go, and after that, I have everybody else just clean up.
I think that the speed down on his 2 is definitely a good primary use, but a lot of people forget that if he evades attacks, he calls assist, he gives 40% turn meter up to his team. Like, that's a huge passive that almost everyone ignores.
Yeah, and I think putting him on a team with Dove was really good, because his big knock is like, okay, when he evades, he does this awesome stuff, but he can only really gain evasions kind of very slowly. He doesn't have a great way of getting there. So you either need to put him on a hit chance down team or to somehow get more evasions up on him. And then he can really, really shine. What I would say, we talked about this kind of in the 1500 chat, which was, I think some people are just working with different definitions of meta, which is like, some people think of meta as because they are the most used characters. Like, that's what defines the meta, is basically who is the most popular, who is everybody using right now. For me, I kind of think of it about the tactics, where, I think, to me, meta right now in the game, the meta is going first, or making sure that your enemies do not get a turn. And Impulse, to me, is right behind Black Flash in that regard. In fact, is faster than Black Flash, which some people forget. That if those are the only two people involved, if there's no Cheetah or Brainiac or Martian Manhunter, if it's just Impulse versus Black Flash, Impulse goes first. and he immediately turns their team down 70%. And that can be the whole match right there. So I think he is very, very meta. And I think that there are certain players in the game who are well respected in the community who think that Impulse is the greatest character that the world has ever known. We should occasionally defer to that. So, that's Impulse.
Fair enough. I'm going to move us along a little bit just because I realized we're almost 2 hours long and we've got a lot of names to go through yet. So let's go ahead and just jump into Jessica Cruz, who is owned by DeBoy of the 1500, and she's actually my favorite Green Lantern lore-wise. I wish I had more shards of her because I don't feel like she is as effective at L5. I think that her greatest strengths are not like well-rounded as far as like her weaknesses go. I think that her weaknesses are too much and her strengths are too few. What do you guys think of Green Lantern Jessica Cruz?
I'll hop in. I mean, I think to me, I know a lot of people have not felt this way. They've done a lot better with her. I think of her as also kind of a one-trick pony, which is that her basic just stacks so many intelligence downs. I think that that's really cool. And I have seen, especially last month in Siege, when she was a bonus tune, or whenever that was when she was a bonus tune, people using her to really actually cripple Darkseid, which was very impressive to see. To see a green tune just kind of really lowering how effective Darkseid was really fun to watch. Outside of that, I think her AoE is bad. I think her passives that are based on ally deaths are not relevant because of the way the star system works. So I think she's a fun tune, but she's not one for me. But I have seen her used to really good effect.
I will just echo what both of you guys said. I think that what her ability to stack and downs is her biggest strength. And her gaining buffs when her teammates die really is not useful at all with the star system. If I want somebody that's going to do a similar job to her, I'm more likely to bring up Sapphire. Does similar things to her and also does other things that are much more effective than what the rest of Jessica Cruz's kit does.
Fair enough. I did think that the taunt was a little out of the ballpark, but at the same time, I kind of get it. When her lore is based on her friends dying, they kind of had nowhere else to go but put that in her kit, even though it's not super effective at all. But let's go ahead and jump into our next Lantern. This one's owned by me. This one's a bit more controversial. It's Jon Stewart, Green Lantern.
There's no controversy.
There's no controversy. There's controversy here.
No, it's just garbage. There's no controversy.
No,
right. Like controversy implies that there's like two sides of the issue. I think, and I don't think there's two sides of the issue here.
Jon Stewart is so much better at RB5, and I thoroughly enjoy him. He is my second favorite Green Lantern, right after Jessica Cruz. But I didn't buy her up. I bought him up because he worked well with some of my character teams that I was already putting together. He does die incredibly easily at L5, but at RB5, he dies not anywhere near as easily. It's actually the attacks that would have killed him at L5 put him perfectly where you want him to be at just under 50% at RB5, which triggers his, his big shit, the thing that really makes him tick, giving all those buffs to everybody else and making sure he can pretty much one-shot anyone he wants. I absolutely love it. And eventually, when they do finally put a character in game that maybe steals health from allies, I think his viability is going to skyrocket. So I really love Green Lantern Jon Stewart. What do you guys think?
I think we were pretty clear.
Yeah.
No, all right.
Sure, Kitty. I like him as a character. To me, I can never buy into a kit who like the goal to make the kit effective is to reduce it to a very specific health pool that is lower than half. Like that is just so risky and so gimmicky to me that I could just I can't deal. So Godspeed. I'm glad that you are enjoying him, and I would never try to rain on your parade, but it would be acid rain because he's such garbage.
All right, fine. Moving on. We've got Killer Frost from Hate Mail of the Owls. This one hasn't changed either. He's the only one that has. He himself has told me that he does feel like she is a little bit power crept, but she is still incredibly good at keeping the enemy team stun locked and kind of out of turn attacks based on stuns when he pairs her with all of his other green stunners. What do you guys think about Killer Frost?
I had a lot of fun with Killer Frost yesterday when she was an Alliance bonus tune. I was basically running her in a comp with Spectre and Killer Frost, Martian Manhunter, and King Shark. And it was just stun, game over. Mostly, but Killer Frost is constantly getting the extra basics and the extra int ups from all the stuns. So I do think that in order for her to thrive, she has to be in a stun comp. But the good thing about that is that WB right now is addicted to putting stuns in people's kits. So she's going to remain viable as long as WB keeps doing that.
Truth.
Her kit is super solid. Really, for the most part, I think to kind of bring her back into usefulness, I think just bumping her stats a little bit. She suffers from some of the wonky percentages in her kit. She's got a 24%, 15%. Not completely terrible, but if we just worked up her stats a bit, I think it'd make a big difference. I do want to refer to Silver Fox's artwork for this. Probably among the best artwork he has for the entire showcase. Just a great piece he put together.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty dope.
Let's go ahead and move into Kilowog from Dubois of the 1500. Kilowog is someone I'm jealous of, actually, because of his control, but also his support abilities with granting empowered strength ups to people and hitting under shields with a purge. I think that's really useful for people, like even my Raish team. Anytime I use Kilowog with Raish, I put the empowered strength ups on Raish, and then his out of turn attacks just hit that much harder. I'm pretty jealous of this character. What do you guys think of Kilowog?
I think that one common misconception is that Dubois has Bleeze and that she may have the best ass in the game, but it's actually Kilowog. Like it's definitely Kilowog by like a mile. That is why he is affectionately known as Kilo Cakes. It's just buns of steel that put the entire game to shame. And that's about all I have to add on Kilowog. I never geared him up. He's a character that I never cared for whatsoever. But I am learning that, I think he does have some comparisons to King Shark a little bit, and I've been using King Shark quite a bit, so I could see why somebody else would want to use Kilowog.
I will just say that I will always love Kilowog because he introduced the mechanic of primary to target on AoEs.
Yeah.
Which I think's been a super, super big game changer as far as kit designs have gone. I remember at first we all kind of thought that it was a bug or we just didn't know what to think at first. But it's definitely the most memorable part of this kit for me is just the introduction of that.
Yeah, that's entirely fair. I'm actually looking at his ass right now, and you're right. It's fairly perky compared to Bleeze's. Bleeze's is almost saggy compared to his. It's pretty damn beautiful. I'm not gonna lie. I did skin swap him too because I couldn't deal with the incredibly large green power suit constructs. So back to the basics for me. Let's
Oh,
get
one other thing on Kilowog. Why
Yeah.
is his speed so high?
Yeah, Du Bois thing. He's actually like Kilowog is known for being slow in the comics, and he's known for I think the opposite of everything he's known for in DC Legends. He can take a hit. He's pretty slow, but in DC he's like squishy as shit and really fast. So that is weird, but I don't know. He's a poozer, so we don't really care. Moving into another one we got going on. This one's another controversial one that is mine. We have
We
King.
really need you to get a dictionary.
What?
We really need you to get a dictionary.
You don't think it's
you keep using that word, and I don't think you know what it means. But,
whatever. I enjoyed the controversy when he came out, and I RB5'd him pretty much immediately. There is a lot in his kit to enjoy, but there's also a lot to that leaves you wanting. As far as I was hoping that his diseases were a bit more focus fired instead of random, but I'll take what I can get. His passive intelligence downs and strength downs are actually quite useful. And he does hit really, really hard with his basics. And I actually do really enjoy his bug, where whenever he kills somebody, they just like fall over instead of disappearing into the void. What are your guys' thoughts on King Shazam? I am genuinely curious.
I still don't know how he's in the
yeah,
game.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. Like I think he at best should have been a skin, and that's it.
Like,
That's
Silver
a
Fox
character
had, like-
yeah.
Go ahead, Hawkeye.
Silver Fox had like 3 pictures to choose from for his artwork here, so I
Yeah.
think he got the best of the 3.
He's got like if you count his own comic, he's got 1 issue, and then he maybe appears as that iteration of the character, like we'll call it corrupted Shazam, 4 times tops. And it's like, I get it. I get when people are like, oh, well, where's Plastic Man? Where's this? And it's like, yeah, like these are characters that have literally over 1,000 appearances over 75 years. And then you bring in a new character that nobody was really clamoring for, who's only got like enough appearances to count on one hand. So I don't understand why he exists in the game. And like, I don't think no matter how good his kit was, I was always just going to be annoyed by his presence.
I think that he is one of the prettiest of the Shazam characters in the game. I probably could agree with you that he could have been a skin. It probably would have saved me a couple $100, but he does work.
There was another thing that could have saved you another couple $100, which was not RB5 him, but whatever.
I'm working on the Shazams. I'm trying to get them all up, but like I don't know, it's difficult. I just finished farming Freddy all the way up, and after Enchantress, the regular Shazam is next. But yeah, I like him. He works for me at RB5. He's still useful. He does have good crowd control with his heal immunity, with his stun that turns into an enrage, and all of the debuffs that he's capable of applying passively. So I think he's decent. He's an amazing character. I do think he's decent though. So no complaints here from me. Let's go ahead and move into the next one. We've got Lobo by Hate Mail of the Court of Owls. Hate Mail's got a lot of these unique characters. I think he's got 5 total. And Lobo is one of the scarier ones for sure. He's hard to kill. He actually does decent damage at RB5. And he's got a lot of really good crowd control. What are your guys' thoughts on Lobo?
Yeah, he's really annoying to face now. Post rework, he is like really obnoxious, and I have had the displeasure of facing Hates a couple times, and it's the worst. Josh was filling out your poll on stream, Tootie, about like who is the most overrated, underrated, whatever, and for scariest, he said Lobo. And I was like, okay, I might go with somebody a little bit more powerful or something. But then I thought about it. I was like, in terms of characters that give me fits, Lobo is really up there with like the stun on his revive. And he's a character that you don't want to kill first, but he makes you kill first. It's just a mess. So good for Hate for doing that. Fun artwork by Silver Fox. I think it's good choices all around.
I talked a bit. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say Lobo would probably be on my list of characters most likely to not be a unique RB5 by the time that you do the next RB5 showcase. He's super duper annoying. I definitely agree with Josh there that he's probably one of the scariest RB5s just because the amount that he can do. He does a ton of heavy lifting just by being able to crowd control, bleed, taunt, revive. Just does a lot of things, and he does all of them well. Usually when you see a kit that busy, either there's one thing they do really well, or it's a Vandal Savage situation where they do nothing.
Yeah.
Uncalled
Unfortunately. Uncalled for. Accurate. No, I talked a bit about in the previous episode with AB and Retness that I really did want Lobo to be RB5, and then Grodd got the 6th day, and I considered him dead to me because I didn't like. There are some characters out there that I would take RB5 if they were a 6-day event, but I don't feel like I want to pay my way up to get Lobo all the way up there. So he is a safe unique from me and my interests. However, I am quite jealous as well. Let's go ahead and move into our next one. We've got ManBat by Streets Ahead of the Court of Owls. And whatchamacallit, ManBat is kind of considered the king of disease as far as stackability goes. He's got some out-of-turn attacks that are actually quite usable. He's crit immune, so that's pretty awesome. It's a little hard to kill. I didn't take him RB5. I haven't rebirthed him just because even though he fits really well in a Raish team, I do think that I don't think he needs it. Like I want him to put the disease on people. I don't want him to kill people with his brute strength. So I left him at L5. But what do you guys think about ManBat?
I really want to like ManBat. And really it's more of a problem with the game design right now where it's at. And it's not just disease, it's bleeds. They really struggle to get their hooks in and keep their hooks in. There's so many ways to purge, transfer, just avoid them with debuff immunity. It's really hard out there for bleeders and disease tunes. ManBat's tankiness is one thing that I enjoy about him. The being immune to critical hits is huge, especially when you're a red in a game full of hard hitting greens. I talked to Streets Ahead a bit about ManBat because I've been doing my concept months posts on Reddit, and he said unfortunately he's a tune that he really loves. He's glad he brought to RB5, but he just doesn't get to use them as much as he wants, just because it's very difficult to use them because his biggest attribute is kind of muted just by debuff immunity and debuff purges.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think he's still really good for dealing with taunters because of his passive where he gets to slap them with a whole mess of diseases. And a lot of the taunters, especially like Harley and stuff, they tend to take turns quicker than you'd think a lot of the time. So I think he's still an effective way of dealing with that. Outside of that, everything Hawkeye said, I would echo. As somebody who's trying to really make King Shark work this month, bleeds and diseases are just, they're tough. They're tough right now between Terra, Hal Jordan, Mr. Miracle, Ultraman, Enchantress. There's a lot of ways around it now. So I would hesitate to really put too many resources in them until we get like a really, really effective way to just kind of clear all immunities. Like if they introduced a blue toon who can just purge all buffs at once several times, preferably in a bugged fashion so that it triggers on everybody, that would be really, really good for disease and bleed toons. That's hypothetical, by the way. That's just hypothetical.
Right.
They'd never do something like that, though.
No. That's not possible. Come on. Whatchamacallit? So I kind of went along the line of what Hawkeye said as far as dealing with, or not Hawkeye, Zubaz said about dealing with tanks. I think he doesn't deal with tanks as much as he deals with the rest of the team. Like, whenever I fight a Barda team, I actually just take her and I smother her in diseases. And then I just watch the
That
rest.
sounded way too sexual.
It did. Yeah. I was like, smother her with what, bud?
Kisses. Everyone switches her to her basic skin, and everyone wants to do that. Don't feel bad. But whatchamacallit? I smother her in diseases, and I watch just the rest of her team just melt when I bring ManBat, when I bring Amazo and Raish and all that. My great disease characters out there. And it's hilarious because Barda can't really do a whole lot by herself except stay alive. So without her team, the disease helps really well with melting an Azrael, or as long as he's stunned, because hitting Barda is going to trigger his ass too. So really enjoyed ManBat. I just don't think I want to RB5 him. Let's move into a character that I'm obviously jealous of. And looking to get her to RB5, but that is Mary Shazam, by M4 of the Owls. He brought her up to be a dick a little bit, just because he wants to have a dick team, and focused on like revives and out of turn attacks. And she does a pretty good job. She hits pretty hard. She's also kind of tanky, but she's also bugged as fuck right now. Super bugged. What do you guys think about Mary Shazam?
Yeah, definitely bugged, and the one of the more unfortunate skins in recent memory was the weird face swap that they gave her. We did avoid the pink pigtails, I guess, but I don't know what they were really thinking with that move. But other than that, I mean, I always liked her. She's a lot of fun if you pair her with Miss Martian. It's like whenever you do your basic, like, they just lose all their turn meter almost. So I think she's kind of an underrated toon, but right now she is like, her AoE, like it triggers like every turn, every one of her turns instead of on allied deaths and stuff. So whenever you have a bugged kit, it's difficult to make it work because it does things that they're not expected to do. And I wish they would take some time responding to bug reports here and there.
Yeah, they definitely like to let them sit forever on bugs. Hawkeye, you got anything on Miss Mary Shazam?
Really, you guys said it pretty much all with her. It's really hard to use her, especially with Spectre popping up now. I tried using her the other day with her AoE just deciding to pop whenever it wants. Killing toons out of sequence nowadays is not a good idea. And that kind of bit me in the ass.
Even though she's kind of a speed up character and she would like kind of fit into your speed up, speed down teams.
Yeah, even then, I mean, with Spectre being out there, just one opponent going down in the wrong order, it can completely screw you over. Especially when I try to do speed down teams, I really try to use Captain Cold. He's my toon right now that I'm dedicated to trying to find a comp that works more than just when, the RNG went right. It just doesn't work quite as well as I wanted to.
That's fair. I'm hoping her bugs get fixed shortly. I really hope I don't have to wait until Shazam 2 to come out to get reworks for Freddy and Mary, but we'll see. Let's go ahead and move into our next character. We've got Mr. Freeze by Vincent Young of the Court of Owls. Definitely the king of RB5s. That is Vincent. He doesn't talk much, if ever, actually, but he's definitely one of the smarter players in the game as far as who he decides to rebirth. And Mr. Freeze is definitely one of those characters that I think more people should fear or use often. What do you guys think about Mr. Freeze?
Mr. Freeze, by the time you do the next Rebirth 5 showcase, he will definitely have another one because he is my next tune when he goes on sale. I will have the shards for.
There you go.
He fits into just being an overall dick. Because when the way that he puts the speed downs at the beginning of battle, it can completely ruin completely ruin a team. Especially if he puts them on, say, a Black Flash, for example, on the opponent's team. Anybody that's trying to get something set up for the rest of the team, if he goes to the right person, it completely ruins any chance of that working. I have him RB1 right now. At RB1, he can tank a Rebirth Arcus double tap. I actually have not seen Vincent's Mr. Freeze. I'm not sure that I want to. He's just he's pretty terrifying, and he puts down speed downs very, very quickly, and he can lock down tunes. Common strategy for me is to get some speed downs on Azrael after I've stunned him when I use Mr. Freeze, and just keep him from moving.
It's a good combination.
Yeah, all I would add is, I have not made hidden the fact that I really do consider M4 to be the best player in the game. And, I bought into Mr. Freeze stock a lot when M4 in the Tournament of Legends in the final round, when he was really kind of, at that point, he's not using his top 15 best tunes. And he was running comps by me about oh yeah, what do you think of this? What do you think of this? And he was really leaning on Mr. Freeze hard. And that was not somebody that I was expecting. And then I saw it in action, and the way that Mr. Freeze triggers Starfire, the way that Mr. Freeze works with Enchantress and with slowdowns and everything. I think he does a lot. And to see M4 craft teams around him was really, really interesting. If you haven't yet, maybe go back, watch those Tournament of Legends finals, and you can see how M4 uses Mr. Freeze, and you would understand why people would want to Rebirth 5 him in a heartbeat.
I like that answer. I don't really have a whole lot more words for that. Let's go ahead and move into Parasite, one of the RB5s that I think many people are surprised exists, even though he has been mentioned in previous RB5 showcases. Hawkeye and whatchamacallit. I feel like you were, at the time, you were telling me how you were kind of experimenting with RB5, and I don't think you succeeded in this one, or am I wrong here?
He does not succeed in what I was hoping for. He does and he doesn't. Let me put it that way. I was hoping that when I brought him up, his damage would jump exponentially, and it just did not. His kit's really missing a way for him to really stack intelligence ups quickly. If you pair him with somebody that's going to just pour on intelligence ups onto him, he becomes unbelievably powerful. He just doesn't have a way to effectively do it himself. He's a tune that, the number of times that I've had people go, I didn't take your RB5 Parasite seriously, and I lost the match because of it. And not because he took over and started killing them. It was more so because they just couldn't kill him.
Right.
So he's a success there, but he's a failure in being able to bring the damage up to a level that makes him really dangerous. I'd love to see him have some int-ups through his passives in the future. just be able to gain them quickly.
Fair enough. Zubaz, this is a mystical character. What do you think about this?
Well, I mean, first for starters, I don't think he ever should have been a mystical character. I never really understood why he got that classification. But that being said, the worst time I ever had with Parasite was when he was in Mystic Blitz as a bonus tune, and everybody was using Parasite, and he's just so annoyingly hard to kill. And especially in Mystic Blitz, when you don't have a red that can just put him down very, very quickly. I think a lot of people underestimated him at that point. And so that's kind of my worst experience with him. Outside of that, we don't really see him in PvP. And maybe in the future he'll do a little bit better. But yeah, I mean, even in Mystic Blitz, when he's not a bonus tune, you can use him like a Barda or somebody that can just tank like that and really pick up some wins on defense.
I can see that being a thing. Yeah, you definitely need like a Red Hood or a Black Manta or one of those reds that applies heal immunity to really deal with him. Because as he gains more health than you're taking away from him, it's definitely an annoying fight to deal with for sure.
One other thing for him, sorry.
Very good.
He needs a taunt. He needs a taunt in his kit.
Mm-hmm.
Because once he can taunt, he wants to be hit. He wants to be hit so he can absorb that power, turn it back into health, gain his heal from his passive. But he has no active taunt. It's one of those things that's it's kind of baffling that didn't get caught somewhere in the kit development saying, we got this guy, he wants to get hit, why does he not have a taunt?
It's going to be probably like a Penguin situation, hopefully a bit more of a successful Penguin situation, because when they did rework Penguin and they gave him the taunt that he needed, then they brought out like 8 different greens that can hit under shields, and you're like, well, fuck. But I don't know. Parasite is definitely one of those characters that could benefit from it. I think their plan was that Parasite would steal the taunt from either like a Donna Troy or a Power Girl or someone like that. But that's just my favorite of all of these characters. My number one leader that I use probably about 65% of the time, and that's Ra's al Ghul. I absolutely love his rework. I think that he's actually phenomenal, very viable leader. And at RB5, he is incredibly tanky. He does decent damage, and whatever damage he doesn't do, he can fix with all of the diseases he applies. His revive happens most of the time. If he does happen to die, which is rare. But otherwise, I absolutely love everything about him except for his 3. His 3 is the only thing I hate about him. Other than that, he's one of my favorite characters in game. What do you guys think of Ra's al Ghul?
Is this one not controversial?
I would hope.
I'm no. Okay, I'll be honest. So, like, I know a lot of people give you a lot of grief for going all the way up with Ra's al Ghul, and I think it was obviously warranted pre-rework. I think after the rework, I do not think he's as bad as a lot of people give you grief for, is what I will say. I have used him to pretty good success as well. He does strike me as one of those characters that has one move and you kind of question like why you would ever use the other ones. I know there are instances in which maybe you think you can get the kill or something, but because he's got that leader skill that basically just allows him to attack twice and apply even more diseases every time, I just kind of look at it like, why would you use his 2 or his 3 really? But otherwise, I think he's a good character. Obviously, one of the best, most successful reworks that they've ever had, because they took him from really the bottom of the barrel to a very, very usable character. And he's always been an interesting character in the comics. So I will not give you any grief or hard times about taking him all the way up.
You're not gonna shit in my dreams this time. Good.
I'm not.
Okay.
No.
Hawkeye, are you gonna shit on my dreams?
No. It was controversial at first. We tried to stop you. We tried to protect you from yourself. You didn't listen. You sat through about a 14-month period where, we had to watch a lot of videos that were very, very bad to watch. We kind of gave you cold stars, like, yeah, keep trying, buddy. But he's finally to the place where he's usable, and not even just usable, but he thrives. His the only thing I think on his kid is, I think that he should have a guaranteed first revive on his Lazarus Pit passive. But for the most part, he's right where he needs to be, and he's came a long way. I think Zubaz is right. He's one of the best free works of all time. I put him right up there against Lex, survival suit. But
wow. I did really want. I agree with you on the revive. That should definitely be at least one guaranteed. But like I said, the only thing I really hate about him is his 3. I really wanted that ability to be maybe like a gated execution, but they did not do that. They kept it to some really crappy RNG percentages, and that makes me not want to use that ability. But at the same time, I do think there are plenty of uses for his 2. I use it all the time to like silence an Arcus or prevent like certain abilities that I don't want to happen from happening. And whatchamacallit, because his leadership is very nice, but it's not guaranteed. So that silence isn't always a guarantee unless you use his 2. But I do still love the turn meter gain from it. And the out of turn attacks make his slow speed almost not consequential, essentially. And there are times all the time when I have him very P and he's like got like 8 bleeds on him at all times, and then I call him to assist from his leadership ability, and that true heal saves him from dying, and I love that aspect. I can save his life without ever having him get a turn. So that's all I'll say about Ra's al Ghul, since we're kind of getting low on time here. But let's talk about Red Tornado. This one is also Hawk, guys, and someone I'm actually incredibly jealous of, because I've recently rediscovered Red Tornado as one of probably the better blues in game with his retaliation and his speed downs. Hawk guy, give us your thoughts on Red Tornado.
Red Tornado was really overlooked when he first came out. He came out during the Christmas time. He came out in December when we skipped a raid, and I think because the raid was skipped, I think a lot of people didn't even gear him up. And I just started using him a couple months after that, February, I think, and I was just like, man, he is really fun, really good. If he can get going, he can completely take over a match. The number of speed ups he stacks. He starts stacking stamina ups, and he's got an overheal on his first passive. He can very easily get to where he's just constantly going, just takes over the match completely. I know when I did my Tournament of Legends entry, I think I used him just about every match that I did in that. He's got the call assist on his second attack. He applies shields. He just does so much. And it's one of those kits where he does a lot, but he's able to do everything well.
Completely agree with you. Zubaz, you got any words?
Yeah, just briefly. I mean, he was in a month that it's the end of the year. People are tired. It's the holidays, and it was when Amazo came out, and people were so disillusioned with Amazo because I think they had such high hopes for his kit, and they kind of I don't think any kit was going to really satisfy what the crowd wanted. So he's in this month. There's no Raid that month. I mean, just everything was working against them. And then the next month was Black Flash and Impulse. And so it's like everybody just completely glossed over December 100%. And I did too, 100%. And now I am looking back and I'm like, man, that was such a missed opportunity. I love working with speed ups and speed downs, especially. And Blue has never really had a ton of that. So that would have been a really good opportunity to sort of diversify by affinity. And I missed it. So I have slowly been taking him up, and I'm using him today for Alliance PvP, and he's great. So yeah, I mean, I think Hawkeye said it all, but he was a huge, I've said missed opportunity a couple times, but in reference to the devs, and I think in this instance, it was a missed opportunity by the player base to take advantage of a really good kit.
I could not agree more. I love him so much. I use him with Katana, and I think that's a great combination as well. But speaking of good synergies with Red Tornado, our next one is Reverse Flash, and I think that Reverse Flash and Red Tornado could definitely be best friends. The player we have here is CT Zoom from Collegia Titanica, and I think Reverse Flash's rework was also one of the better ones, just because it gave him better sustain, it gave him survivability, and it also gave him damage. And I think that's a few things that his kit really needed. And he's one of the more beloved speedsters out there, even though he's not really used as much today because of Black Flash. But I thoroughly enjoy him. What do you guys think?
I saw him use a pretty good effect under Lex, and that was about it.
I'm really surprised that he's not got multiple RB5s running around. He went through a phase where he was pretty oppressive. His kit, again, it's a kit that does a lot, but I mean, he does everything well. He hits under shields. He's got his reset on the time paradox. He's one of those two. He does have a weird 41% chance on his second passive. But I mean, he's able to slow down the other team so much. If it wasn't for the introduction of Black Flash and Impulse, I do think that he would have more RB5s.
I couldn't agree.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. Yep.
And with the addition of Red Tornado, I think all Red Tornado has to do is shield up the team, and then Reverse Flash has got enough to go back in time of there. So I really, really enjoy that as well. Now after Reverse Flash, we have someone that will not be a unique for very long. We've got Shazam from Stodem. That's how you pronounce his name, from Court of Owls. I think his name is German, and I had to Google how to say his name. Stodem.
It's not what I've been saying.
I think you just like saying that now.
I do. It's actually really fun to say. Whatchamacallit? No, I love Shazam. I'm super glad that somebody took him up, even though I definitely wanted to be the first. But I keep delaying and delaying, so he deserves a little bit more respect than I'm giving him. I think he probably could have had a better rework as far as maybe giving him a turn 0 taunt, but the turn meter gain that he gets from people getting attacked, and his new passive, those are both good things. So what do you guys think about Shazam's current state in the game?
It's a lot of people in comics history have always basically done the comparison of Superman and Shazam, where Superman came from DC and Shazam came from Fawcett, and they were effectively the same character. They looked similar. They had similar powers in many regards. It was just the origin of those powers that was different. And in the game, I think they kind of work similarly in that for some reason the devs decided, okay, Superman and Shazam get no offense whatsoever, but they are incredibly annoying on defense. And I think Shazam could probably stand to be even more annoying. He gets like 1 damage immunity, which is kind of easily purgeable at this point compared to Superman, who gets like 4 million immunities and death immunities and damage immunity and everything like that. But in general, I've never understood why that was the route that they went, given how strong we know that those characters can be. So I do think that, unfortunately, I think they still missed the mark on his defense, but I do think as a turn 0 taunter with the potential for damage immunity on his first turn, he could be in business. And yeah, so he is very hard to kill once if you leave him alone, but overall, not somebody that I'm scared to see on the other side.
Even at Rebirth 5, you don't think that
no, yeah, I don't think it would really impact me that much.
That's fair. Hawkeye, you got anything?
I think really should have compared notes before the before recording. This is yet again a time that we have the exact same thing to say.
Nice.
You know,
Okay,
I really do like the fact that him and Superman have similar builds. You know, I don't think either one of them is a super effective tank, but they're annoying to deal with. You know, but they're also both fairly easy to get out of the way.
Yeah, I think that I feel like Shazam could be more annoying just because he's not necessarily based on people getting crit to get his taunt out. He gains turn meter very easily, and I know his taunt won't last super long because of that, but at the same time, he can regain it pretty easily as well, and he can go from like his taunt move is a small heal plus a bunch of stamina ups, so he can go from like almost no health to basically back to full health, and then on top of getting a damage immunity, he can be incredibly annoying for sure. I'm hoping that he works well on my Enchantress team. He's going to be the tank for my heal team. And I'm excited to finally get my Shazams all the way up as well. So next RB5 showcase, I should have him and Freddy as well. So we'll see. Let's go ahead and move on to Yellow Lantern Sinestro, who we only have one because Du Bois is a Lantern fan, it looks like. However, I do think that Sinestro is kind of a sleeper agent as far as effective ability in game, just because his basic does hit pretty hard and it has a very nice purge attached to it. And his AoE and his passives with the intelligence ups, his speed, her turn meter up from his and rage. They're situational, but they're effective. And whatchamacallit, I think he works really well in an enraged based team. What do you guys think?
All I really need to say about Sinestro is the boy had to get drunk to take him to RB5, and I think that says everything we need to say. I also want to say something to Du Bois personally. I'm really starting to notice a pattern here. No one else is rebirthing lanterns. Do you think that's because something about the characters or what, man?
Ooh. Oh, buddy. Just slam him.
Yeah. I mean, all I'll really say about Sinestro is I'm at a frustrating point in my life right now because I have developed a really beautiful and illustrious mustache. And I really enjoy costuming, some cosplay, that kind of thing. And whenever I go to DC characters and I look for suggestions on what to do without having to hide my beautiful mustache, it's always people suggesting Sinestro. And that is not somebody that I particularly want to be. I don't want to paint my skin pink, and I don't want to have a nasty widow's peak and crazy eyebrows. And to be honest, he's kind of a dick. So he is just a personal sore spot. I don't really have anything positive to say about his kit. The only thing I will say to address Du Bois again is you Rebirth 5'd Yellow Lantern Sinestro before Hal Jordan. So, you know, I don't know what that's about. I don't know what side you're taking in terms of the Green Lantern oath and whatnot. But basically, I think you're a fake Green Lantern fan. I think you're secretly a yellow, possibly an orange Lantern. You know, we'll figure that out later. But it's certainly not green. It's not green.
Well, it's also because Sinestro is the greatest Green Lantern ever.
That too. That's fair.
Good point. Good point. I do think if our Kilowog joined the game, I think Du Bois would also be all over that guy as well. Because Kilowog and our Kilo. But let's move on to our next character. We have Siren of the Deep from Joker, CP Joker, our CC moderator from Joker's League of Anarchy. This is a character that I think has a lot of potential. She can technically 1v4 people if she gets enough bleeds out. She'll just stack those evasions for days, and unless you brought a can't miss red, you're pretty much going to be shitting bricks for the rest of the fight. So what do you guys think about Siren?
You just said it. Can't leave her alone.
Yeah, 100%. She's somebody you got to get rid of, and you got to get rid of fast. She can stack bleeds as well as just about anybody in the game. If they don't have debuff immunity, though, which, with Tara and Hal Jordan, how often does that happen?
Right. That's fair. Her AoE, though, does do pretty damn good damage. I've fought Joker Siren. I fought his Joker Siren combination, and wow, is it potent. It is actually quite scary. They're both enraged bleeders, which is a scary combination as well. But her AoE followed by Joker's AoE it's pretty devastating. Even if they don't apply the bleeds due to debuff immunity, your reds or your greens and blues are probably dead at that point. You just have like reds left, and that's it. But moving on, we've got Stargirl, who is also owned by McQuinn77, Zukaz's nemesis of the Earth X Alliance. And this one's actually pretty cool because he rebirth 5'd her probably like 6 or 7 months ago. Like, she is an old RB5, despite the fact that she just got reworked. He did express to me disappointment in her original RB5-ness because he didn't feel like she dealt enough damage, but I'm sure he is ecstatic now. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think that's rolling the dice and winning huge in terms of waiting and banking on a rework and then having it come through. If not for Spectre, Stargirl would be the superstar girl of this month. Her kit works extremely well. If you're somebody that likes to ride Lex all day, Stargirl and he together they just feed off each other, where she's constantly getting turn meter. She's then buffing the team, and then everybody's full shield, full overheal. Her 2 is one of the best moves defensively in the entire game. 75% shield to the entire team plus crit immunity is outrageous. So that's a huge win. Good for him. I'm not watching Stargirl tonight because Tootie is slave driving us into a 3-hour long podcast, but I will get to it later this week, and we're probably going to cover Stargirl and the new season on the Crime Alley cast either this week or next week as well. So just a fun time for Stargirl fans out there, and I'm not happy that McQuinn got a big win, but fine. Good for him.
That's hilarious. Do we have any thoughts, Hawkeye?
I think you guys covered it. The house doesn't always win. McQuinn pulled it off this time.
Good. I will say I did not expect this episode to be this long, but just think about how positive that you are providing so many people with some raid content to raid to. Just along with Stargirl, we also have Stripe, her sidekick. Obviously from Hawkeye, Court of Owls. Hawkeye, do you find Stripe to still be effective at RB5? Do you feel like he's not anywhere where you wanted him to be? What are your thoughts on Stripe?
Well, first thing, let's get one thing straight. He's not a sidekick, he's a mentor.
Ooh.
Big difference.
Exactly. Yes.
I really enjoy using Stripe. Unfortunately, his speed is the second slowest in the game, which in the current meta means he is unusable. I'll throw him in teams with Cheetah, so he can get a turn. But plus he gets the strength ups. He's a tune that if he gets rolling, he doesn't stop. But to get him rolling in the current meta is just something that doesn't happen very often.
Fair enough. Do you feel like all you have to do is to get one kill and we're good, or do you feel like it's just kind of difficult?
Usually one kill and it's over from there. He's a tune that he's not fun garbage, but he's fun. He's not quite Captain Cold where it's fun to play with, but you're not going to get anything out of it. He can, if he gets going at all, even in the highest level of PvP, he can change a match on a dime. You go from being a 4 versus 4 to you get the first kill, and then you jump on somebody else, kills them, and all of a sudden it's a 4-on-2. That's something that not a lot of characters are able to do, is get 2 kills that rapidly without having a second turn.
Right. That's pretty good. I do enjoy Stripe as a character. I think his second skin looks really nice. I just wish he did work a little bit better. But let's move into the next one. I'm actually not going to really spend a whole lot of time on Supergirl. She is my unique. I don't feel like she's very good anymore.
Very controversial.
Even I am kind of regretting the RB5 mess up. I thought she would be more effective at RB5. She'd finally have the power that I wanted her to have, but she just doesn't. So we don't really need to spend a whole lot of time on her. Let's just go right into Swamp Thing from Mr. Zubaz. You did kind of cover him last time we did a mystical showcase, but is there any updates or news from Swamp Thing?
Yeah, I mean, just in general, like last time we talked about him, we talked about him being potentially power crept, and I would say it's even more the case now. Every month that goes by, it seems like he's a little bit more power crept. I have had, there's some people that come into raids and they don't have the full rosters of everybody, and they don't have Owlman, they don't have Steppenwolf, or sometimes not even Superwoman or something like that. And Swamp Thing, who's available in red alerts, is a way. He's a little slow, but he puts out a ton of crit ups, such that if your roster is lacking some of the bigger, more obvious raid tunes, he's somebody that can make your bonus characters crit, which is kind of like the key to winning at raids. So don't overlook him for that. I still think his 3, especially at RB5, is one of the best moves, single moves in the entire game. 5 permanent bleeds, huge damage, and enrage, and heal immunity. That's all massive. That's all in one move. But other than that, his revive mechanic is outdated because of the star system. It only has an 85% chance, and when it doesn't trigger, I have to get a new phone because of how upset I am about what just happened. So nothing really new on his front, other than just I don't really see a rework coming anytime soon, and but I still hope that he gets one just to adjust his power.
Fair enough. Let's go ahead and move into our next.
I just want let me say one real quick thing. He has, like, out of all the original tunes, he has my favorite legendary skin. Just a super cool look.
Fair enough. I actually switched him back to basic because I thought the wings were just a little too much. But
I did too. No, I'm with Tootie. I'm with Tootie on this one. The wings to me were like from that new 52 era, and I did love that run, but I never understood why he had or needed wings. And so I also switched him back to his basic skin.
Hurting my soul here, Zubaz.
It looks good in Silver Fox's art. It does look good. I don't think it looks good in game. I think that the character model is kind of short and stubby, and giving him like angelic wings was just kind of weird looking. But that's fair. I could have bad opinions. That's all right.
Speaking of bad opinions, who's next?
Yeah. So, I do think that this one is a bit more controversial, just because like she is good, but she's also bad. Um, and like she's bad in a good way though. But anyway, um, she Talia al Ghul is mine. Rebirth, unique, whatever you want to say. She was decent upon release. I don't ever think that she was a phenomenal character, but she did have some good utility, especially with the heal immunity on her 3. She crits quite often, and that's enough. Like I needed a blue executor at the time because Swamp Thing wasn't that power crept at the time, and we still had people like Grundy and other blues that could revive. So Talia was a good answer to that. And I think that her death immunity from 10 bleeds on a character like is actually game changing a little bit. You can win a fight just by that death immunity and never dying. As long as you can maintain the 10 bleeds, you're good to go. So I think that her weaknesses is that she has too low of percentages, and I think that her evasion stack very well. I wish she would just turn into an invisibility character instead of an invasion character. But other than that, I still love the character. I'm really looking forward to a rework, and I have submitted an idea for her rework. But what do you guys think of Talia?
I am actually having a lot of fun with her in Siege this month. It's kind of been interesting where I watch Josh and M4 play Siege, and I feel a lot of the time like I'm using a completely different set of tunes. Whereas I see somebody like Josh relying on Lex and White Lantern Sinestro, and then of course Spectre. I'm on the other side of things with King Shark and Bloodsport and Talia. And they work really, really well together. Talia, I think they put in this Siege as a specific way to counter the White Lantern Sinestro revive issue, and she does great at it. She's somebody that I had at level 70 gear 11 before this Siege, but then when I saw how effective she was, that I took her up to 80, dumped the resources in because I was like, hey, kind of a cool character and fits with what I'm doing. So I've been pretty happy with her. And I do not think that is a controversial 2D RB5, as not as controversial as other ones, at least.
She's definitely been pulling through for me in this Siege, that's for sure. She's definitely one-shotting Spectres left and right, and I love that. Hawkeye, you got anything?
No, I mean, I haven't used her a ton this Siege. I think that out of all the bonus tunes, the only one that I've used less is Captain Cold, and that's just because he's just ready to fall over at the start of the word Spectre.
Right.
Not that bad. Like I've said it before on this is I just think Bleeds just need a way to get their claws in more effectively. There's a lot of tunes that purge debuffs, a lot of tunes that prevent debuffs. If they had a better way to be able to get in, and sometimes you can apply bleeds, and before the tune even takes a turn, the bleeds are already gone. Enchantress threw them back at you. They got purged. Just any number of ways to where bleeds just aren't as effective as they should be.
Fair enough. Let's go ahead and move into our next character, another one of Mr. Zubaz's. We have Vixen, the animal spirit lady of the game. Definitely cool art. I really actually enjoy this art. Zubaz, how do you feel about Vixen? Does she still pull up to standards, or is the rework lacking?
Rework is lacking, unfortunately. I think they made a couple of mistakes along the way. It was an improvement. I just think there's a couple issues that they didn't address and probably could have. She's another one that I kind of shelved for a long time. Like, she had her rework in February. I was like super excited and, took her all the way up. And then, she had a rework whenever it was with Birds of Prey. But I kind of shelved her for a while, and then I found myself using her again recently, again with King Shark, because what he does is he provides all these out of turn bleeds so much. and all she has to do is do her Rhino, and all of a sudden you've got stuns and bleeds everywhere. Whereas for a very, very long time, I was only using her bear skill, which I still use because to me, she is still the best way to deal with Superman, to deal with Arcus, and in a lot of instances, to deal with Power Girl as well, if you still see her. So she still has her uses. She's just turned into from what used to be a character that I used all the time, like in every comp, to a character that I only bust out as a specific counter now.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Hawkeye, you got anything to say?
I just want to give a shout out to Silver Fox on the artwork for her. Super awesome. Really enjoy it.
Yeah, that one's dope. I like that one a lot.
All right, just for speed purposes, we got to move a little ahead. We got Wild West coming up next, Loot of Court of Owls. I'm actually a little bit more jealous of this one than I used to be, just because of the fact that I was playing with Hawk and Dove, and with Darkseid as my leadership, I put Wally West in to counter Black Flash, and I was blown away with how fun he was. I got the turns first above the Black Flash even. I got the ability to use Dove to counter Black Flash, and then because of that, Hawk had enough time to get some turns out, and then the crowd control was just too much at that point, and we dominated. So without Wally West, that isn't possible. So I just really appreciated that as well. On Wally West, guys.
Wally, I think, he went through a phase where he was the Black Flash of Siege. Everybody was using Lex plus him, use a second, open up the battle, get the turn meter, get the awareness on Wally. His kit is, it's pretty perfect to me for who Wally is as a character. Really, really nice lore-wise kit. I think that overall, the only thing I'd like to see is a bit more damage out of the kit. It's not bad by any stretch of the imagination, but I think that it could be amped up just a tad.
Yeah, his 3 definitely does not hit very hard, that's for sure. Zubaz, anything from you?
Not much on Wally. I never really used him that much. So, and I wasn't part of the era when he was kind of like one of the best tunes in Siege. So not much on my front, but I like the art on this one as well.
Yeah, I think my favorite art is actually coming up on the next one. We have Wonder Woman, Defender of Justice, and this is all based on the movie, of course. It all looks pretty good, well put together. Our player is the Ocean, Court of Owls, the leader of the Owls, otherwise known as Bullseye. And whatchamacallit, I don't know if he'll ever get a rework for this character, just because she is the movie version. However, she is the most beloved movie actress in the DC universe. So there's hope. But even when she got Wonder Woman 2 came out, they decided to go with Coda instead of her as the rework. So any thoughts on DOJ?
Super power crept. She has one of the best kits in the game, I think. With the rework, I don't think she needs really more than a stat boost. She was one of my original choices to deal with Harley, with her Lasso of Truth move. It's just a shame when you got a taunter that, they can taunt out of a turn, but, kind of is just like, hey, kill me, rather than, hey, just let me take some damage. It's just almost an instant kill, especially that Siege where Huntress was one of the bonus tunes. Just did not go well for DOJ anytime I tried to use her.
Yeah, she's kind of squishy, that's for sure, for a tank. Zubaz, anything?
Yeah, not much. I mean, she's got, I think, a really beautiful character design. I think really cool animations. Definitely somebody fun to take up to RB5, but I don't really foresee a rework necessarily, even with the Wonder Woman 80th anniversary coming up. Same for Aquaman and Green Arrow. I don't know that WB is really in tune with that. I wish they would. I wish maybe we get, Yara Flor as a new tune and Wonder Woman rework, but I guess that remains to be seen.
Right. Well, then let's move on to our final one. I know it's been a long time. It's been almost 3 hours in this podcast, but we have our last one, which is Wonder Woman, Princess of Themyscira. The art is a little off, mostly costly. Is the owner, but he is no longer part of the Court of Owls. He is in the 1500, and that's fine. We went with our bombshell look for this one, just to be a little different Wonder Woman arts. But we have, I think this one actually is my favorite of the Wonder Women in the game, just because in the early stages of the game she was my go-to leader. She still could be viable in certain instances, unless you're up against a Harley Quinn. That's really the only time she's not viable. Although I guess Azrael probably takes her out pretty easily too. But her buff immunity happens all the time. She can scrape in that second attack, throw debuffs back at you, and she's quite tanky as well. So I appreciate her quite a bit. What do you guys think of DOJ, or not DOJ, POT?
She just needs a stat boost. I mean, she's still very viable. She does a lot of things really well. It's just her stats are bottom of the day.
Yeah. It's actually crazy. Like even at RB5, she has the same situation as Zatanna and Swamp Thing, which is like their RB5 and their power level is below some of my like RB3s. And you're like, what is going on here? And it's just because her stats are so low. And she even had a relatively recent rework. So that's unfortunate. I do, out of all the bombshell skins in the game, I think hers is probably the most effective and best one. And I know Costly really, really enjoys using her. When he streams, he usually throws her out quite a bit and does a pretty good job with it. So I think she's really good. I think we do need to do the entire podcast over because of this oversight where we have him in the Court of Owls and not the 1500. So we can start from the top and just, because I know we don't have the ability to edit later. So
Right.
Yeah, we'll just start over.
Just start all the way up. Where's the first?
Yeah.
Alan Scott. Let's go back.
From the top. Take two. I feel like at the end of this, you're going to be like, we weren't recording. Shit.
I would be so sad. I've actually, so the recording bot I have right now, I have had issues in the past where there are just like huge segments of audio missing from certain spots. But if that's the case, I'll just go back and re-record a small personal segment because we're not fucking doing this again. I really thought it was going to be shorter, but it's almost on 3 hours here. So let's go ahead and cut it here. I do appreciate you both for coming on.
1 second, Tootie. I have a very important stat for this podcast. There is in the 3 hours, you only said whatchamacallit 22 times. Much lower than I anticipated.
Were you actually counting?
Yeah. I got a tally sheet going right here, actually.
Holy fuck.
I actually thought about counting, but he had already said it like 5 times at that point. I was like, oh, I can't go back now.
I'm still willing to bet that I said it less than I did in my previous episode because I said it like a lot in the first episode with the Atlantis After Dark guys. I'm appreciative that you counted though. That's some good stat building. We'll see if I get my next guest to do that in the 3rd episode. But we're definitely running a little bit long here. The next episode is our awards segment. We're going over the last few of the Rebirth 5s that I have yet to mention, and then we're going to give out some awards to the players and characters that fit specific award types. But other than that, I appreciate the time anyone has spent listening to all fucking 3 hours of this. I hope your main bosses are all murdered and dead and you're at your 500 million already. But let's cut it off. Have a good night, guys. Thank you.
Nice.
Later.
Thanks. Thank you, Tootie. Thank you for doing this. I know we give you a lot of shit and everything, but it's really cool that you put this together for the whole community. So thank you for both having me on, for having Hawk Guy on, who is somebody that I like to talk to, so that it wasn't awful for me. And then just thank you for doing this in general. It's really cool.
Appreciate it. Yeah. I know I'm awful to talk to, but it's fine.
All right, guys. Thank you. Thank you so much, Tootie.